right, welcome back to Out of Touch. It's been a bit. We're on our new bi-weekly schedule. John and Mitchell with you right now. We may get a visit from Dustin later. Mentioned he was having some laptop difficulties, so we may or may not get Dustin with us tonight. But we're here. It's Out of Touch, and we've got a little, we've got something new, at least when it comes to, well, we do see Frank walking in the background. But Mitchell,
he's a main
if you're
staple.
watching, he is a staple. If you're watching the YouTube version of the show, we got a little, what is it you got going on? It looks very spacey.
Yeah, so the origin, I've got one of those like space lights.
Yeah.
The origin of this, when I was living in Vienna, Austria, my roommate, when I first went there, the guy that was playing quarterback before Laura got there, I lived in like team apartment, and his girlfriend worked for the company that makes these. So he had one of them, and he would put it on when he was playing video games.
Sick.
And I thought it was awesome. I told him it was awesome every day. I'm like, I need to get one when I get back. And when we left, he just gave it to me, which was very nice of him. So this is shout out Easton Salem, who's actually still in Italy playing.
Wow.
I don't know how. He was like 3 years older than me. And that guy is going to be made of putty by the time he's done. But yeah, it helps me. Usually I put this on when I'm playing video games, Call of Duty in particular, because it's a very frustrating game. And sometimes
so does this keep you calm whenever you're playing the game, even if it's a stressful situation? Okay.
A little bit of the ambiance for sure. But I kind of like it for this. There's a good contrast. The light from the screen kind of lights me up, dims the dirtiness in the back. I kind of like it. This may be what I use going forward.
I tell you what, one thing, I've never shown what the rest of the room that I do all of the shows in from looks like, but it looks, you know, if you're just looking at it from the camera perspective, it looks like I'm in a fairly clean, not much going on type of room. But I would love to reorganize this in the very near future. And, you know, I'm going to go ahead and try. Hopefully, if I remove this camera and show you what's going on.
Yeah, this is never going to set up the same. I just want you
to hope it comes back. But I'm going to try to give. This is the other side of the room that I usually record in. It is a complete and utter disaster.
There's stuff.
And this is what? Do what?
There's stuff.
There is stuff. And thankfully, it looks like the camera went right back where it's supposed to go. So I'm very happy about that.
That's good. There's
a lot of things in this room.
I'm going to interrupt this. I do want to drink this. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to think that I'm drinking a beer. I am not. This is like my favorite root beer in the world. I'm going to show it up here. Buy this. If you like root beer, try it. It's from Wisconsin, and it's delicious. And after a long day, so refreshing. So I'm going to be drinking this throughout the show, and I don't want you to think that I'm just getting drunk on a Tuesday. Because I'm not.
I'll tell you what, though. You're probably not the only person who would be getting drunk on an election Tuesday if you decided to go down that route.
This was actually the empty one that was on my desk from yesterday.
I've not had a good root beer in a long time. And root
beer
go to
Menards, dude. Go to Menards. Makes no sense, but that's like the only place I can find these. So good.
I'll tell you what, Menards, again, I've been in a few Menards.
This is from the night before. Look at this. I like these. I don't know.
Look at all this free pub for whatever root beer company
Sprecher,
it is.
Dude. German name. Sprecher.
Again, yeah, the last root beer I had, I don't even think it was a traditional root beer. I think it was an alcoholic root beer. It was the Not Your Father's root beers. Have you ever had those before? It is
an alcoholic root beer. I've been very hungover from those before.
Oh, really?
So much sugar. I've had worse hangovers from that stuff than the grape Kharkov that we drank in college, which is, I'm pretty sure, like a chemical poison.
Oh.
So you can imagine how the hangovers were with that. And I've been more hungover on Not Your Father's root beer than that stuff.
I tell you what, though, I wish I was drinking a cold root beer right now. And look, while we're talking about drinks, so on In Touch the other day, whenever you and I recorded, I was drinking from this here handy dandy water bottle. I had not had my coffee yet, and we were out of coffee. And my dumbass, a few days before, whenever I went to buy some at the store, I accidentally bought like whole beans. I didn't buy ground up coffee, and we don't have a grinder or anything like that in the house. And so after I recorded my segment with you, my wife had gone out to one of our local coffee shops, and she decided to bring me an Americano. Are you familiar with an Americano is?
Oh yeah, those things juice you right up, baby.
Yes. I've had
It's not, you drink that decaf nonsense, that decaf bull.
No, I don't drink decaf. I had before. I used to. There was a moment. It may have been about a year ago where I was regularly drinking it at night, like when we were.
That's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm thinking of.
But so this Americano stuff, right?
Juice
The
you
first
right
time
up.
I had one was not too long. It was back whenever I went to Louder Than Life in
Yeah.
September. I drank one very early in the morning, and I had no clue what it was. I just thought it was a
Jittery.
different type of coffee.
Yeah.
And I didn't learn until the next day from somebody who knew more of, what goes in different types of coffees, explained to me that 2 shots of espresso, I think it's 2, go into an Americano. And I had an entire thing of, a regular sized cup of that the other day while I was doing the final segments of the In Touch show. And I was feeling the after effects of it pretty much the entire afternoon. I felt like I was Superman, Mitchell. I feel like I could have flown anywhere. And let me say this too. I said this to my coworker, Nick. I've never done cocaine, but if I pictured myself on that, I'm pretty sure the amount of caffeine shot that I got from this espresso in the Americano, it's about as close as I could have come to doing drugs as I feel like is humanly possible for me.
And that amount of caffeine at once is borderline drugs. Like that's
Yeah.
I mean, that makes your. Do you ever get like heart palpitations?
Well, that's the thing. Like I was trying to feel. I didn't think I could feel the heart racing, but I felt the amount of energy I had. I was enjoying it, man. I had not had that level of energy. I couldn't remember the last time I was that hopped up. I had the music turned up loud in the car. People driving past me, which is actually more like the people I was driving past, were probably looking at me like I was the biggest dumbass idiot on the planet just because of, I don't know, how foolish I probably looked, just not having a care in the world about how I looked singing and just having a good old time driving to work. By myself, 100%.
Same.
If I'm listening to something that's right up my alley, it could be a number of things. But if it hits the vibe at the right time, I mean, you may wonder, maybe you and I know each other enough to where it wouldn't surprise you at this point, but there'd be a certain group of people, maybe even within my family, who would be like, what has gotten into Mr. John Alden today? Because this is not like you.
And you sing without the caffeine, so this just amplifies. Sometimes the music just hits just right. Today was a good example. I did a ton of driving today.
Yeah.
I was on the road a bunch, so I had a lot of time. And it was really nice weather for like a 2-hour stretch from about 11 to 1 o'clock. I was in like Bedford, Bloomington area, and it was just perfect. And something about being in Bloomington, like 70-degree weather, songs I really like. I had all the windows down. Music was
That's the way to do it.
Blaring. And I was singing at the top of my lungs. There's nobody that could touch me.
Exactly. It's fun. You feel unstoppable. And something about being in your vehicle in general, whether you're hopped up on an Americano or not, hopefully you're not on alcohol. That would be another story. That would be a bad story to tell. But something about being in your car that I think makes us as human beings feel more powerful than we actually are. We have the ability to honk at people that we are pissed off at. People will give you the bird.
When's the last time you honked your horn at someone in an angry way?
It's you,
not just like the 2-tap. Hey, the light screen. Like,
that's a good. It's usually if I'm trying to merge onto the interstate and somebody's being stupid. And I don't remember the last time it happened. Probably within the last month or two. It happens every so often.
I don't think I've ever honked my horn at someone out of anger.
Are you a very calm driver? Do you have any like road rage in you whatsoever?
There's certainly like no scenario that happens all the time.
Yeah.
If maybe like, especially for how much time I spend on the road, I feel like I would know this. I'm generally pretty calm, just kind of going about my business, doing whatever.
Yeah, I'm mostly calm. There are days where it's easier to, make me upset than others, but here's one thing I've learned though, and not actually, there's nothing to learn here. It's more of just a precaution that I take now, just because of the world that we live in nowadays. Whenever That looks like it's hitting, by the way.
God,
Is that
so
root beer hitting?
Oh man, I just had to let that out. That's so good.
I'm jealous. Just drinking here this great value water right now.
So good.
And I'm sure that tastes that much better. And you can tell more about your day in a second, but I'm sure it tastes that much better after a bad day or a long day.
Yeah, man. Just a little peek behind the page curtain. We're off our quota in sales. And when you get to the end of the year, you start getting some pressure. And all that runs downhill, right? Like CEO gets mad at vice president gets mad at area president, who gets mad at my boss, who gets mad at me.
Yeah, it's not
And
fun.
it's not mad, it's like stress. Up there it's mad with like the board of directors or whatever, but there's a couple degrees of separation before you get to me. So by then it's kind of filtered out and more just like, hey, we got to go. So I've been spending a ton of time on the road, up in the mornings. I'm missing today, kind of sucked. Yesterday wasn't as bad because I did get to see Maggie when I got home, but being all gone all day, like I don't understand how people do this all the time. Like,
especially like semi truck drivers, people who like they just live on the road.
I didn't see Maggie. I woke up before she got up. I was gone before she got up. And by the time I got home, she was already asleep. And she had a big day.
Sucks.
They were sending me videos. She's eating not solid food, but eating like pureed apples and bananas and stuff. And she got a bath today. It's just a big day for her. And you miss all of it. And it just kind of sucks. It sucks. So say a little prayer for me if you're listening. We need to sell some dang lasers, man. We need to sell
them lasers.
Some dang lasers. Hopefully, I don't, maybe you can help me understand this. A big pushback that I've gotten is they're waiting until after the election. Which on the
buy
surface,
something?
Yeah. On the surface, okay, you want to see, like, obviously one's a little more economic focus, the other focused on some other things, and I'm not being political here at all, but there's obviously two very far apart people that are running for president, and they're just trying to figure out who it is. But my thinking is, no matter who's the president, you're not going to wake up the day after with a new president and have all of a sudden $0, or on the other side, $1 million. Like, you're going to wake up the exact same as you did today.
Yeah.
Why? And maybe it's just an excuse because they want to.
My guess would be, and again, this is just a guess, would be depending on who is in office or will be in office, that type of thing, is like maybe whatever they're purchasing will have a less amount of tax to pay on it or something if a different president is in than the current president.
But it's not going to happen like immediately.
Yeah, it won't be immediate.
Yeah, this is going to take months. And I'm peeking a lot behind the curtain. When you make big capital purchases, which is what I'm selling, capital equipment, you have the ability to use it as a tax write-off for your business. So it's a way to kind of offset your revenues so you aren't charged at 40 or 50% tax. And that's no matter who's the president. Like, that's just the way it's been. So you have, it's called the Tax 179 incentive. And basically it's a way to allow businesses to grow and add new services and not have to spend all their money doing it. So it allows businesses to grow at just a more efficient rate. So it's better for everybody, right? Better for the economy when businesses are doing well. But you can only do that like once a year. So they're waiting for the election. But if they're going to do this, they have to do it before the end of the year. And all those changes are not going to.
Maybe it is just an excuse. I don't know.
I don't know. It's been very annoying. I know that. This is totally, if I keep talking about work, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to twist my own head around in the 360. I've been just stressing. I've been on the road like way too much. My car hates me. Hates me. It's starting to like grumble. It's like not breaking down, but I can hear it. Like, can we stop, please?
It's like we've been going pretty far.
Absurd. Yes. Hopefully, end of this week I'm a little bit lighter, but got to go to Terre Haute tomorrow. That should be.
And then I want to ask about your upcoming. You're going back to your golf thing. We'll do that here in a second. And I want to finish my thought from earlier though, before I forget.
Oh yeah, sorry.
One thing I've learned. No, you don't have to apologize. I took us off on the tangent a little too early. But one thing I've disciplined myself enough to do excuse me, is when I'm in a contentious situation and like where I, would maybe want to give the driver in question the bird or, just kind of do something to make him angry. I always just assume that they have a gun and that they're going to pull it on me if I make them mad. I think there's that many,
Real.
and maybe not that many, but there's a select few of people in the world that probably would do that you just never know when you're going to run into that person
You never know.
randomly on an interstate.
In
Something
your
like that.
mind, it's something that, you idiot, whatever. And then you're moving on.
Yes.
But some people
Yes.
that takes it 0 to a million. And then they have like road rage to the max, run you off the road and shoot you. That's a real thing in America.
That's why I try. Thankfully, I've never taken it to the point to where I am doing things or saying things and to any specific driver. But I always try to keep that in the back of my mind because you never know which crazy person is going to do that and potentially murder you. I'm not trying to be morbid, but I mean that's where we are today. I feel like
I do have a weird. I agree, and I have a weird segue. That segues me to something else. So,
okay.
We've been talking a lot about me being in the car a lot, and the way that I pass time is pull up like a YouTube video or something, put it in the cup holder, and just listen to it.
That's great.
It's a way for me to kind of learn about a lot of different things, right? I've listened to some stuff on Russia. I've listened to some history stuff, listened just all kinds of very broad spectrum of things. And one of the things that I listened to today was about the Sentinelese tribe. Do you know these people?
The Sentinelese. No, I'm not familiar.
Okay. So after we're done with this, go do some research. It is a tribe.
I might do some research while you're talking about it.
It's a tribe that since the Middle Ages has lived in this island in the Indian Ocean. It's the last like untouched civilization. I think we've talked about these people maybe before.
The voluntarily isolated tribe in the Bay of Bengal.
Yes. They have a very interesting history with the outside world. And I was listening to some of the things that have happened. They were first seen in like the 1600s, 1500s. So it's not the Middle Ages, I guess, but long time ago, hundreds of years ago. First seen by, it's definitely not the Middle Ages. I'm an idiot. Why am I saying that? Because it was first seen by an East India Trading Company ship. It's so far past the Middle Ages. That's apparently I'm not listening.
It feels like the Middle Ages for us, though.
Yeah, I'm apparently not listening very well to because I'm not learning anything. But they noticed that there were like campfires in the trees on this island. And over the course of 100 years, no one talks to them. One of the boats has a problem and they pull up on this island where these people are. No one has ever contacted them before. And these people come out of the woods. They like have no clothes. They have no materials. They're still in like the Stone Age. They don't have paddles for their boats. They're still just like wading in the shallows. But they came out and attacked these people, like the traders or whatever, the Westerners. And
it sounds like the show Lost.
Kind of. They like run them out. But this is kind of sad. This was like in the 2010s, maybe. Still, no one's ever contacted them. It's illegal to go there. They're just like, don't even bother. Just let them. They've been doing this forever. Just don't go there. They're very aggressive, very hostile. Like the people that have crashed there disappear forever. Like they kill them immediately. They're very, very aggressive. This American kid, 20-something-year-old kid, goes there to try to learn about them, evangelize them, whatever he's trying to do. He charters a fishing boat, unbeknownst to the Indian government, who kind of controls, quote unquote, the island and basically controls who goes there, made it illegal to go there. Like some serious penalties for going there, 10 years in prison type stuff. He doesn't care, charters this fishing boat, goes there for the first time, sees this tribe. There's like 100 people living in huts. They one of the kids comes out, shoots an arrow at him. He's got a Bible in his hand. He like goes up, hits the arrow, or the arrow hits his Bible. He like runs away, goes back to the ship boat or to the fishing boat, writes in his journal, this is what I saw, blah, 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 blah. Leaves the journal with the guys on the boat and says, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to talk to him again or whatever. So the next day He takes his little boat, paddles up there. Fishing boat's like 100 feet off of the shore because they can't get to him because they don't have paddles. He paddles onto the shore. The fishing boat goes around the island, comes back to like pick him up for the day, and they see the tribe is burying someone in the sand.
Oh my.
Yeah. And it was this kid that was trying to make contact with him. Like they're super aggressive, but they've never been contacted by the outside world. They still live with sticks. It's crazy that in the year 2024, almost 2025, that this still exists. They're like the last untouched, even in the Amazon, they have now made contact with a lot of those tribes. These are like the last truly isolated people that have never really advanced past, like they're not even sure they can make fire yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so this thing, this is about their language. It says because of their complete isolation, nearly nothing is known about the Sentinelese language, which is therefore unclassified, and most of it, like whenever they speak, is unintelligible. So, what did this guy? He said he was an American, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he went through some training on like how to speak with people like this, but I can't imagine going to somebody, whether it be with the Bible or anything, and trying to just get a message across and expecting anything other than hostility, right?
I don't know. I don't know why you go into something like that, especially with what you know. Like, this is not the first time that they've just killed people. For a long time, people thought that they were cannibals as well. I don't know if that's still
like
true.
the blue people. Isn't that a thing? Like a rumor in the United States, the Blue Mountain people or something like that?
Yes, that they eat each other.
Yeah.
Similar. I don't know if that has been proven or not, but yeah, he went, tried to talk to these people, and they killed him immediately. But it's just kind of crazy that it's not even that far from India. Like, you can get there
And
pretty
is
quickly
India
by boat.
protecting like this land? I guess surely they have
Yeah,
some sort of stake
So
in it or whatever.
I mean, they've seen like, okay, if you go there, they're just going to kill you. There's also, I mean, they've been doing this forever. They don't bother anybody. Like, just leave them alone. Because if really anyone goes there, like we're all carrying around diseases of some kind, our immune system
That's
just
true.
fights it off. Like, if one person there gets the cold, everyone dies. So they've kind of taken the approach of just let them be. We know they're there. Don't go there. And that's kind of been their protection, quote unquote. They don't have anyone there. No one's on the island except for these people.
That's crazy. Oh, one thing I can't imagine is like if you're a part of this Sentinelese family or whatever, and you've just been, everything's been passed down through however many generations. Like, why has nobody said, "Hey, let's explore further. Let's go figure out what's beyond this island or something," you know?
Yeah. I mean, over hundreds and hundreds of years, no one's ever made contact with them and they've never reached out. They're good. So, can you imagine like the first time they saw a plane flying overhead?
I mean, surely they have seen, right? Like, because
Definitely.
that's
It's
got,
not
they may
far
not
from
even
India.
think,
Like,
they
you can
probably think it's an animal of some
and
sort.
you can see huge cargo ships in the waters. Like, they drive by all the time. And they have no interest. So it's just
It kind of reminds me. I
interesting.
feel like I've referenced this movie before. I guess it's not the exact same thing, but it's like the old King Kong movie with Jack Black. We
Yes.
have talked about this because you love it, and I remember I made fun of the ending and how corny it was, but you disagreed with that. I think
How corny the ending was, where he falls off the Empire State Building.
yeah.
That's
Well, like the whole scene with I can't even remember who the female in the movie is or whatever, where they're riding around on the ice in New York or something like that. It's just, it goes from being one type of movie to being like something very just off the wall at the very end.
Well, that's the King Kong story.
Yeah, I guess.
That story that's not the first King Kong movie.
But anyway, my point and initial reason I brought this up was
exactly.
the island.
That
it's
tribe,
just,
kind of tribe where no one goes there. Who knows what they worship? Who knows what their like beliefs are? Who knows what they think of the world? Obviously, it's very different. Like, they're not listening to Out of Touch. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. They're very out of touch from everything.
They couldn't. They should have this podcast. That's 100%.
Hear us talking about them. They'd
They
be
don't
very
care about the
confused.
lasers I'm selling.
No,
They're not
they
going to
don't.
buy a laser from me.
If they saw anybody with a laser, they would probably try to kill them.
Throw sticks at them, spears,
Sticks, body parts, who knows what.
literally anything. So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where to pivot from here.
Yeah. I've been listening. I got all kinds of good stuff going on. I was listening to, there's another one that populated right after that one because the algorithm just gets you down a rabbit hole of like 20 conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. Like,
this goes into like when we talked about with the Baba Yaga or Baba Vanga, whatever that woman is, the blind woman who passed away eons ago, but apparently predicted a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, kind of. This one was like the CIA testing mind control on people on, all kinds of stuff. It's good. And it turned out to be
true. I want to ask you about your upcoming, since we only do this every 2 weeks now, you're going to be headed up to Arizona again for another golf tournament, right?
Yeah, I'm very excited to get out there. It is, as we were talking about before the show, adding a little bit of stress because we're off our quota and I need to sell some stuff. But it's like my favorite week of the year. Go out there. We got a cool house. My partner's birthday lines up with it this year, so he's got some buddies that are coming out. We'll have some fun. Bringing Maggie with us. I haven't played golf.
Will this be Maggie's first time on a plane?
Yes. So I'm sure it'll just go, perfect.
I mean, it could go. I feel like she's probably, how many months old is she now?
She'll be 5 months by the time we get on. So she's 4.5. She'll be 5 months when we get on the plane.
I feel like she's probably, and again, this is just based on our friends. If we have friends of ours who just, their baby just turned a year old this past month. And I feel like for the most part, he was fairly mild-mannered and didn't really have a lot of reaction to big things until the last few months before he turned a year old. And I would say you may potentially, I mean, again, I've never met your baby, so what the hell do I know? I don't know how mild-mannered she is. She's or not.
Pretty mild.
Maybe she'll be.
I think we should have started with like a hour flight. This is a 3.5 hour flight.
How long does she usually sleep for right now?
During the day when we're going, about 40 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll have to feed her before. Get a good hour nap would be awesome, but it'll probably be about 40 minutes. Entertain her for about an hour, and then she'll go down again, hopefully. But
again, MP, we've mentioned this before, undefeated with Indiana and, of course, Miami.
University.
Do you think that this carries on into your golf game? Have you played a round of golf since? Surely you have. You played golf since you've had the baby. Maybe you haven't.
3 or 4 times I've played 9 holes. I actually played some secret golf today, but don't tell.
Secret golf, okay.
Yeah, I did. I was coming up from Columbus. I had another meeting in Greenwood at 5 o'clock. I got done in Columbus at like 2. So I stopped at the Legends in Franklin. There was nobody out there. Played 18 holes in 90 minutes. Oh my God. I was flying in the cart and actually played real good.
That's the way to do it right there. You're probably in the zone because there was no distraction. There was no one else to play with. It was just you, the clubs, the ball,
listening to a little music. It was windy, a little rainy. There's no one there. And I played good, John. I'm going to tell you what I shot. Now, you may not matter. Nobody cares what you shot. But as we're looking ahead, it bodes very well. That's 300 par, shot 69. If I can do that in Arizona, my teammate is way better than me. I do that in Arizona for 2 straight days. We're going to win by a lot.
And last year you all got on the podium, right? But you didn't win.
Yeah, came in 3rd last year. Had a chance and just didn't win. But this year the handicaps are a lot more favorable for us. It's 50% handicap. So my partner last year, if you're a golfer listening to this, you'll get this. He was a +6. So you go down from 6 to scratch. He was below scratch by 6 shots. So if he shot 72, his handicap score was 78. So he had to shoot 66 to shoot even par 72. So we were giving shots to the field. Everyone was getting a million shots. So we had to play that much better because he was the low handicap in the field to even get a chance at it. This year, he's been a lot smarter about his handicap and maybe flubbed, just not put in his best scores. Because I'm like, Jock, we're flying all the way out there. Stop putting in it when you shoot 60, because then you're going to have a terrible handicap again. So he's done a lot better. We're not the low handicap in the field this year, so he'll actually get a shot. If he shoots 72, he shoots 71. And we're in a prime little spot here. There's a chance. Got to play well, but we may be the Barstool Classic champions, which would be very fun.
I would, again, just chalk it up as another dub for the kid, right?
She's on a roll, and I'm going to knock on some wood. But, yeah, she's 18-0.
And I'm telling you, there's until something proves this otherwise, I'm very much in favor of a crash course of two, I guess it would be 13-0, 14-0 teams meeting in the national championship. I don't know how many games it would be because of the new 12-team playoff, but I want to see the mental agony.
Yeah.
I just, and there has to be, she has to pick. You have to make her pick. You have to give her, and she probably isn't crawling yet, but you've got to get like a Miami. Surely you've got a Miami and an Indiana towel that you can just sit in front of her, and she just grabs whatever. They have to, make it equal playing field, and then if the prophecy comes true, you may have yourself a magical baby on your hands.
That's a fact. We might. I don't know if I would be able to handle that. I love Laura, I love Maggie, and I love the University of Miami and Indiana football teams. In that order. Like, those things, they're ingrained so deep into my heart and soul. I can't have that happen. I can't. It cannot happen. I don't know who I have to talk to. We got to talk to somebody. We can't have it happen. Anytime, I can't.
It's just like the clash of I feel like I'm just making something up.
And the problem is I have to cheer for one of them to lose for that to not happen.
That's true. I say, like, there's only one winner. There's only one.
Right. It's a big problem that I'm having.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. I'm going to be sad.
What would be the worst situation? Just one of them losing to not the other team and the other one winning the whole thing, or would you rather one beat the other?
Yeah, I think the worst case scenario is Miami's ranked higher, so if they win out, they'll get one of the buys. Indiana.
Well, if they all went out, they're probably 1 and 2. And, you could decide which one actually gets.
So worst case scenario is somehow Indiana. Probably the only scenario this is the case is they lose to Ohio State, so they're one of the lower seeds, probably the 11. Because if they beat Ohio State and then losing the college football or losing the Big Ten championship, they'll probably be the 5 seed.
Yeah,
is my guess. And then they would play the 12, and then they'd go on to play the 4 seed. And if Miami wins out, they'll probably be the 2 seed.
That would make it to where they would play in the finals if they kept winning.
In the finals for sure, but I'm saying worst case scenario is they play in the second round.
Okay.
And one has to get knocked out in the second round, and then I got to count on the one to win. And I think we don't have to talk too much football.
Yeah.
But I think the team that has the best chance to win it all of those two is Indiana.
I mean, just based on the sample size we have right now, I mean, Miami plays with fire a whole lot more than Indiana does, right?
Miami has the Cam Ward effect.
Yeah.
Cam Ward is a magician. He can beat anyone. I'm pretty sure he could beat the Chiefs on any given night. Now, the defense, who knows? But the way he manages, their receivers are awesome. Do you know that they have a guy on their team this year, a receiver, Xavier Restrepo, that leads? Think about all the great players that have played there. He is number 1 in career yards.
I did see that graphic catches. Pull up the other day.
He's on the team right now. And this is the only year that he's had a quarterback that could throw it in the ocean. So imagine how good that guy must be. So he's got that guy running around. You got talent all over the place. You would also have a reunion with Zach Carpenter, who plays center for Miami, who was
Oh
the
yeah.
center at Indiana last year. It's coming for me. I know it. It's inevitable. It's going to be a hard day.
But it'll be a fun day.
It'll be a good day. Because the worst case scenario, I think, would be Indiana in Miami. Obviously, losing all the games is worst case scenario, but Indiana and Miami playing in like the Pinstripe Bowl or something.
Yeah.
Because I played in that bowl. We were bad. Like that would mean that they were bad, and that would be horrible. But
this is the last thing I want to say on football. Like, we went from, I guess, what was it? It's nearly 10 years ago now, so people were arguing about whether or not a kick was good in a battle of 2 6-6 teams to, college football playoff rankings.
Yeah, and we've been everywhere in between during that time. We had kind of a magical run in 2020, and we've talked about this on your show, your In Touch show, where it was kind of like fluff, right?
It almost feels, now that we've seen this, that almost feels so fake at this point.
That's what I'm saying. It was kind of fluff. They won a lot of 50-50 balls. They forced a bunch of turnovers. They tried to trick you, and it kind of felt like they were tricking us. This team is just a freight train. Like, I think this team would beat that team by a zillion.
Tanis, one of our loyal listeners, says, no shaving until Indiana loses a game. I have shaved since the season already, so I guess that kind of is out of the question.
I have to.
You're probably with your job, I bet.
Yeah, but speaking of shaving, did you watch Purdue the other night?
You talking about some point shaving, some basketball point shaving?
No. Did you watch the game?
No, I didn't.
Braden Smith, unbelievable basketball player. Go ahead, pull up a picture of what he looked like in the first game.
Does he do some? Did he pull like a PJ Fleck where he looks like he got plastic surgery?
No. He looks normal. His face, all of it's together. It's shaving. So he had this big bushy beard. He trimmed it up. The beard was great. He had a nice haircut. But somehow he allowed the barber to trim like top of his ear.
Oh, I see this.
The bottom of his ear.
I'm going to show it on the screen.
Yes.
Second.
He just shaved it bald from the top of his ear to the bottom of his ear. So like his hair does not connect to his beard. It's one of the most bizarre looks I've ever seen.
Is it this right here?
And that doesn't really do it justice. There was a side angle of it. It is a preposterous look.
He looks like he's going for like the Fort Wayne Amish basketball player look.
So that was his big bushy beard. That picture you showed first was the one.
Okay.
That's his hair, but it's just not on the side enough. But you can kind of see where it's completely shaved, top of his ear to the bottom of his ear, and his hair did not connect to his beard. And this is like reality TV, what we're talking about right now. But I couldn't even watch the game. I couldn't even focus on what was happening. He's so good. He's so ball dominant. Like, he has the ball in his hands all the time, and he should. He's so good. But I was so distracted. He had like 1 million assists. He was unbelievable, playing like an All-American. He made a bunch of money in NIL. He bought himself a Cybertruck. You can't get a better barber, bro.
What? Okay, so the Cybertruck thing, I'm sure maybe it was Dustin and I that talked about this, but
I sat in one of those.
Maybe it was you and I then, because I've seen a few, and the most recent one I saw was on my way to work the other day, but before then I hadn't seen one in several months. I just don't I feel like the only reason that anybody would want a Cybertruck is be like, oh, I'm rich enough to have a Cybertruck.
Look at me.
That's the only reason.
Look what I have. Yes.
Because it doesn't look cool. It just,
the only thing that people already,
they just look like space. You know what they look like? They look like those little gravitron, like little things that
100%. I will on the inside. They are very cool. Very.
So what's
cool.
the difference about the inside than the outside?
It's like you're driving a real space shuttle versus Nintendo 64 car on the outside. Like it lights up in there. The screen is huge. and you just feel kind of powerful in it. I can see why when you sit in it, you're like, wow, I'd like to drive this, but then you have to look at it all the time.
Like, so Elon Musk is obviously a bit of a weird dude. Like, did he build it the way that he built it because it's supposed to like sustain, a nuclear explosion or something? And I say that tongue in cheek, but like, why else would it look the way that it does?
Because he's an out there dude, man.
He is an out there dude.
Did you see? So I people talk whatever he says. I don't really listen to, but I love SpaceX and like all the stuff that his rockets can do. Did you see the test? I think it was for the human passenger rocket. It was a test, or maybe it even shot him up there. I don't even know. But it takes off from the little holding thing, the stand, or it's not the stand, but you know what I'm talking about. The station. Takes off, goes into outer space, or launches the thing into outer space, slows itself back down, comes back and lands in the exact same spot and like hooks itself onto the station. It leaves, goes into space, comes back down, and lands right
and
where
it knows exactly what it's doing from start to finish.
And the satellite ones land on like a big platform in the ocean. They've been doing that for a long time. Still unbelievable. Shoot the satellite, come back, control yourself, land on 4 little legs. This thing is a huge rocket. Not just a little guy that's taking satellites. Huge rocket, and it comes back and literally hooks itself back onto this stand. It's awesome. If you haven't seen it, I think that space, like rocket launches, are the coolest thing ever.
Would you ever go into space?
Oof.
Because I don't think I ever would. I don't have any. It's not that I think it would be cool to see, space from that type of, I guess, perspective.
I think I would have to say yes.
But I would never. I mean, you know how afraid I am of getting on a plane. Like, I would be uber terrified of getting on something that's going outside of the atmosphere.
I think the only thing that I would say yes for sure. I would worry that when you get up there and you see like how little you actually are, you would just come back feeling
insignificant.
Yes, exactly the word I was looking for. Like, what am I even doing? Who cares? This is the biggest. What I'm worried about is so small. And maybe that would be kind of a freeing feeling.
Yeah, it could be a good liberating experience at that point.
Live your life, dude. Stop worrying about work. Stop driving all over God's green earth to sell nothing.
Maybe that's a good way to wrap this show up. But I do want to ask you, like, what's your favorite place to visit when you go on your little work journeys?
Anytime I get to drive by the IU Stadium.
Okay.
It's magnificent.
Chef's kiss, especially right now, I'm sure.
There's
the
just
victory flag has not come down. Isn't that something?
They had it down today because it was so windy, I think.
So safety precautions. Hopefully it's not a bad omen. That'd be terrible if it was a bad omen for this weekend.
I think I've driven past it earlier this year and it was the same thing. But there's just something about it. And there's definitely a buzz on campus right now. The basketball team plays tomorrow. Did you know that?
And I feel like I don't want to say nobody cares because I know people do, but like usually at this point in the year, this is all Indiana fans are talking about, basketball season. I mean, it's one thing I've had to learn how to do is realize I've got to balance talking about football and basketball. I've just loved talking about football on In Touch for this last 3 or 4 months, whatever it's been. Now I've got to make myself talk about basketball as well.
It's hard. I told you on In Touch that I was at the driving range getting ready for my secret golf today.
That's right.
I was just down at the end of the range. Nobody knows who I am. I'm just a guy hitting balls. And 3 dudes walk up talking about Indiana football in November with basketball starting on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It was just chef's kiss. It was awesome. And I can't wait. I'm going to be again in the stadium for Michigan. And I can't wait. Anytime we get to beat those punks.
Hey, and we're in Indiana favorite. And then you cap it off with, I mean, there's so many things that, well, we can save all this stuff for the In Touch show, but I just want to mention it one time. There are so many things that in the next few weeks like with one win at a time, you will break so many streaks. Right now, one's already happened. Indiana being favored by Michigan, I believe, hadn't happened since whatever the 60s or whatever. That's one thing that has already happened. And then in 2 weeks, when you face Ohio State, Indiana hasn't beaten Ohio State in what, 40 years, something like that. It's
It was
a very
actually
long time.
It was less than Michigan, I thought, and Michigan was 31 years in 2020.
It's
So
very,
maybe
it's
that's
a long time, whatever it is.
Yeah, it is. It's a long time, and
Then
depending
after
on how
that,
this
you're going
weekend's
for a perfect record in the regular season, potentially, if you get past Ohio State, which
you have a chance. You beat Michigan, and Ohio State plays Purdue, who is dog water, by the way.
yeah,
You
they were talking basketball season a few weeks ago, I'm sure.
Dog. They stink out loud. The easiest bet of the year every week is whoever they're playing, bet them to cover the spread.
Yeah, except Illinois. They kind of almost blew it.
Oh, I did lose money on them in that game. That's been one of my strategies, just bet Purdue to lose by the spread. But you have a chance at Ohio State, probably the biggest game of the weekend and one of the biggest games of the year.
Yeah,
Indiana will be featured in.
It'll be nuts.
It'll be nuts.
It'll be nuts.
And we talk about it. I don't know if Louisville plays that weekend, but I think my flight is early, and depending on when that game is.
Yeah, that's so Louisville's off this weekend. They have Stanford and then Pitt, and then I think Kentucky.
Okay,
I think is the rest of their schedule. So I don't know. And then game times will just depend on all that stuff.
Yeah, right. I'm hoping that you get a late game at Ohio State.
I think it's setting up for that. I think that's. I've already looked. I think that's what's going to happen.
That late ABC kick.
Oh yeah.
If it's the late ABC kick,
I don't know if it can be because I think ABC has to be an SEC game.
Okay, CBS, whatever.
Could be wrong.
Whatever the new
it'd be the NBC game, I think.
Late ESPN, whatever it is, whatever the new alignments are, just the 7:30 or 8 o'clock kick. I'll probably, if that's the case, I'll land from Arizona, get in my car, and drive to Columbus.
It'll be nuts, that's for sure. So
yes,
enjoy your trip out to Arizona. But you and I will talk before then on another In Touch episode next week. So looking forward to that. Hopefully we're still talking about unbeaten Hoosiers. But until then, appreciate each and every one of you all for enjoying the nonsense of Out of Touch. Hopefully we have Dustin Schutte back with us next time we record. But until then, it's been another episode, and we will talk to you next time.